Hello and welcome back to RageGamingVideos. My name is Hollow and we're back for more faith weapons. I made a top 5 faith weapons video, and in that video I stated that wow, there are a lot of good faith weapons. And while I wanted to pick a nice versatile 5 mix, there were more to talk about, and I asked if you guys would like to see another set. The response was overwhelmingly positive. We had some great feedback and comments about what weapons people would suggest for that, and we're back to do another round. So, let's get started. We begin with a weapon that was, well, talked about quite a bit in the comments of the first faith video, and for good reason. This is the Godslayer Greatsword, and it is actually a colossal sword, not a greatsword. It's quite a fast and vertical swinging moveset for a big heavy weapon like this. So I actually love that light attack combo. For the heavy attack combo, again, unique, double heavy in this way, sort of an uppercut on the second hit. That's really interesting and potentially a really good roll catch in PvP. Design wise, just look at this thing. The way that it breaks off from being a sword into this twirling duo flame, and actually at the base of the sword, the eyes that line the middle. Its Ash of War, the Queen's Black Flame, has the swing where it charges up the fire, and then a sort of mid to close range swing that spreads that fire, dealing really respectable damage in PvE and ridiculous damage in PvP if you can actually hit that, because it's very predictable. Thankfully, that attack, once again I'll show you it, as I raise the sword up, that is a hit. That swing around, that's a hit. And that's very quick and does catch people. And then that gives you the opportunity to maybe follow up with that second hit, which I have been able to do. Passively, it has fire damage, and that is actually the black flame fire damage, which has that black animation as it hits enemies. And when we look at the actual damage that does, you can see that it does a small amount of damage over time after hitting the enemy. Certainly not as good as the actual spells and incantations that do this black flame, but still a nice bit of extra damage on your Ash of War. As a weapon, it has really solid scaling of B Dex and C Faith, which I really think is good, and we can see that in the AR. Just under 900 AR is pretty solid. I would say middle of the pack for a colossal sword, but it comes with the benefits of its incredible moveset and the BLACKFIRE. Okay, so when it comes to PvP with this weapon, I want to say this. I have been shocked by how good and how impressed I am by this weapon. Its moveset is so solid. You trade so well. It's a colossal sword, so you have that crouching poke or roll poke, which is kind of like the basis of any colossal sword in PvP. And then you have the faster light attacks, even heavy attacks, and the incredible Ash of War that has that 2-hit combo. As I say, the first hit comes out quick. It surprises people. Sure, you're not likely to hit that second hit, but if you do, it's going to absolutely chunk them out and burn them over time, which is very threatening because it has reasonable range. I've really enjoyed PvPing with this weapon, way more than I expected to. Fully recommend it for that purpose. When it comes to PvE, again, it's really good. This is a colossal sword with a fast moveset. You cannot go wrong with that. And if you want to do the regular jumping attacks or poke attacks, you can. You're able to stagger bosses and enemies really easily with a big weapon like this. I think the damage over time from the fire is a bit underwhelming when you see it in action, but it is still nice to have, and the range of the Ash of War is good. The actual damage of the Ash of War on the real fire strike is where the damage comes from, and that is good damage. Alright, so to get the sword yourself then, you're going to want to come to Caelid, and we are at the northern point of Caelid, actually the Divine Tower itself. Basically, from the outside, here we are. You're going to jump onto the roots. I'm going to jump towards the middle here. Careful not to let the few enemies that are actually around it knock you off, but the idea is you've got to climb to the top, right? So there's ladders, and you're going to find your way up. The main ladder you want to make your way to is actually towards the northern side of the tower, nearest to the Erd tree itself. And as you can see, once you climb this very long ladder on this side of the tower, we have a grace, and now we've made it to the top of the entrance, basically. From the grace, we need to run inside of the tower and start jumping and making our way down to the bottom. At the bottom is a boss wall, and then inside a boss. Once you defeat that, behind the boss is a chest, and that has the sword inside of it. For this holy weapon, we're talking about the Golden Epitaph, which is one of my favorite straight swords in the game. It's a very uniquely designed straight sword. I really like it. I think it's really cool. Obviously based on the Golden Order and very tied to the tree. As a super unique straight sword then, it comes with a really powerful and useful Ash of War, which you just saw me use. This is the Last Rites, which is a buff to your AR, increasing the damage you're going to do for a period of time. Like a quality straight sword with with some faith scaling. This is a D strength, D dex, and then you've got the C faith where most of your numbers will want to go. And when I'm two-handing it, we have 677 AR here, or much more likely when I'm one-handing it, 660, which is very solid when you consider two weapons are attacking at once. But we can, of course, make that better. If we use the Last Rites buff, we're going to go from that 660 to 688. If we combine that with the Golden Vow, a very strong and useful increase your AR and also your defense buff using Holy, well, then we can go up to 759. That in combination with your other weapon is between 1,400 and 1,500 AR. For dual weapons, that is really good. Now, as you can see, I am using another weapon with it. Rather than using another Epitaph, I'm using the coded Straight Sword. This weapon is a really unique one. It's straight holy damage and that's it. There is no physical, but it has very good faith scaling at an A rating. The reason I combine that with the Epitaph is thanks to its Ash of War. Unblockable blade, which extends the range of the swipe and then swipes going through any block. And in fact, its base attacks will also go through blocks. So against any shield enemy, this is a really nice weapon to use. In combination with the Epitaph, you have the Straight Sword moveset, which is really fast hitting. You consider the AR that we can get when double buffed, you're able to absolutely destroy people's healths in, yeah, a millisecond. In PvP, trading with that is an absolute nightmare. As you can see, I can clean people's health out. And I also have the utility of the coded swords, stretchy sword, if I need it to do some spacing or catch people out. Truly, this simple combination of these two weapons and the double buffing is very dangerous in PvP, and you have to respect the huge damage that I can put out very quickly. However, just like any faith build with high faith like this one, you can work in a few different incantations, give yourself some utility and more variation in your options. Still, in PvE, you can see that I'm able to clean through health bars and go toe-to-toe with these bosses in New Game Plus. And in general, I really like the Straight Sword moveset. I love how this looks and feels. It's a very cool Holy Knight build. To get yourself the Golden Epitaph sword, then you'll need to come here, which is the east side of the Altus Plateau region. Just next to the capital rampart is actually a tomb, a Azura's hero grave. And at the bottom of the elevator, we have our grace to get you started in this area. But as you can see, there is a door straight ahead of me with the stone sword lock on it. Use one of those, unlock this, and on the body straight ahead of me is the sword. So do be careful when you enter here. It's just a couple basilisks, but once they're cleared out, you can loot the body and get the sword. Next up then, we obviously have to talk about the Beastclaw Greathammer, with not great scaling of Strength C and Dex C, and then the D Faith. You might take one look at this thing and go, ah, that can't be good. You're able to get a really respectable 800 AR on this thing, and that is particularly impressive when we consider the moveset being this quick. Most big hammers like this are maybe 1/3 the speed. What's particularly exciting about this weapon though is of course its Ash of War, the Regal Beastclaw, which you'll notice if you know beast incantations. The Beastclaw itself, or Gurang's Beastclaw AoE. This thing shoots out in a cone at respectable range, and well, it's quite powerful. In PvP, you can get absolutely outrageous numbers with this thing. Imagine if someone tries to trade with you, well, as you can see, that hurts a lot more as well. It has respectable range, so you're going to catch people out. As you can see, I can catch spellcasters out as they try to trade spells with me. And in PvE against bosses, this incredible Ash of War is like a physical heavy. So yes, it can in fact stagger enemies, leading to a nice critical hit with a big weapon like this. So thanks to its very fast moveset, despite the fact that it's a big, heavy, strong weapon, you can output a lot of DPS. Thanks to its Ash of War, you can absolutely bombard bosses from range, get staggers for criticals, do nice AoE against general packs of enemies at that. And trust me, in PvP, this thing trades so well. People don't seem to respect it, and I really have no idea why. Design-wise, it's quite interesting. It's actually in the image of Sarosh, the Lord of Beasts, who is actually the regent to King Godfrey. You know, his like Jojo lion stand? It's designed after that. Certainly makes you wonder about the source of Sarosh and all that, but yeah, really interesting weapon, golden, clear clearly themed around that lion. To get yourself this big weapon then, the Beastclaw Greathammer, you're going to need to come to Caelid. We're going to need to speak to the beast in the Bestial Sanctum at the northeastern point of Caelid. If you want to get here quickly via teleport, behind the Third Church of Marika is a portal that will bring you literally to the entrance of this building. And when you come inside, you'll meet the Beastman, and he will ask you to bring him Death Root, and he will teach you beast sorceries and incantations in exchange. So you do that, and upon giving him the 7th Death Root, he will reward you with this weapon. So not too bad. The Death Roots come from the various mariners, the ghostly mariners around the world, as well as certain catacombs where you defeat the boss, and then there'll be a chest, and in those chests are some Death Root. But either way, you need to bring 7 to the Beastman, and he'll give you the weapon. Alright, for this one, I've got to admit it. I was wrong about scythes and their movesets. I talked about them briefly in the Dex video, and I said that I really don't like the scythe moveset, and generally I think they've got boring designs. The Halo Scythe is what we're talking about. This is a very good scythe, right? And I'm also wielding the Winged Scythe as a bonus. This is also another very good scythe. But I just don't like them. I don't like how they look. I don't like how they feel. I'm not into them. But that doesn't change the fact that these are very good. And if I were to ask, okay, which are the best scythes? What are your best options for scythes? I would say the Faith scythes are your best option. And in fact, these are some of the best weapons to get for a Faith build early in your playthrough. Statistically, we have very high AR, and we have base blood loss buildup, and we have Faith scaling. In terms of their AR, if we take a look, we've got over 700 on both of them, 1,400 plus AR, and I've not even buffed up yet. That is ludicrously good. Now, let's be honest. This moveset is slow, doesn't have much poise. I don't think it's good. The moment we begin power stancing though, and using 2 at once, you can see that this moveset is significantly better. What you can see in PvP is that catches people in trading stupidly well. They roll the first attack, they get hit by the second. You do another, same thing happens. They try to trade with you, they take both hits, maybe a bleed proc occurs. It's absolutely insane. And the range at which you can do that means these 2 weapons, scythes in general in power stance, are absolutely nuts for trading. They've got quite bad scaling actually. The Halo Scythe has D Strength, D Faith, and then the C Dex, and then the Winged Scythe has C Dex and C Faith, but the D Strength. So you can see the Winged Scythe is actually better in terms of its scaling. The benefit of the Halo Scythe though is I believe it has a better Ash of War. Miquella's Ring of Light is an Ash of War that sends out the rings at range. They have a delay, and then they get going, they sort of fly. There's a 2-hit combo, as you can see. It is cost effective on FP, and in PvP, it's such an incredible space crater. If they're at range, this thing's terrifying. They're running at you, the 2-hit combo, terrifying. The damage it can do, terrifying. Then we compare it to the other weapon. We're talking about the Winged Scythe here. Their Ash of War, Angel's Wing. It's an uppercut, then a down hit. It's fine. It's good. It's a nice posture check. Good for trading. Combining the 2, we don't have to compare them. I use the Miquella Rings of Light for range and mid-range combat. And in the middle of trading, I can use the Winged Scythe's Angel Wings to catch people out with a posture check. These 2 weapons in combination then are very good. Combine that with the Golden Vow buff. Since this is of course a Faith build, you can do something like that. We're going to increase our AR. 849 and 810. So, as much as I am disappointed with the scythe options in Elden Ring, as much as I think these designs aren't that interesting, I will not deny that in power stance, these things are nuts. To get yourself the Halo Scythe then, you're going to need to come here to wonderful Caelid. We are standing in the heart of Aeonia, which is normally a boss fight, but you get a grace here after you defeat the boss. Just southwest of here is where we're going to actually go. So we're just going to climb out of that boss area, and here we go. So we've got the rot area. You are going to be killing the Clean Rot Knights. As you can see, there's one coming out of the floor here. You kill them, their armor can drop, their sword can drop. There's another one laying here that you can kill. Yeah, and the weapon, the Halo Scythe, can drop as well as nascent butterflies. So they have quite the pool of drops. So obviously I'd recommend having some item discovery up, whether that's consumable or the talisman or both. But yeah, you kill these guys, they drop their armor or the weapons, and eventually you'll get the Halo Scythe. Last but not least then, we have the big boy, the Magma Wyrm Scalesword. This thing is incredible. A curved greatsword, so a big heavy hitter, with strength scaling B and faith scaling B. That is ridiculously good scaling, and I don't know why it's so good, but it is. And its total AR, when you're just two-handing it in the way that I am now, 948. That's nearly 1,000 AR on a single weapon here, and it has the very, very powerful Ash of War, the Magma Guillotine. This Ash of War, if you can hit it, is very powerful. The actual first hit will clean out health. The second hit cleans out health. And then you have Magma. If they're standing in it, they're taking tick damage, and it's pretty respectable damage, especially against bosses. In PvP, let me tell you, you do not want to trade with this. It took me a bit of time to get used to this weapon's moveset for PvP, but as soon as I realized, oh, if they're going to trade with me and I just Magma them, oh my god, do they just die? It's incredible. So yes, an incredibly powerful weapon for its AR and its trade potential with its Ash of War when it comes to PvP. How do we make trading better? Well, it's a fire and faith weapon. So the faith fire spell, Flame Grant Me Strength. This increases our physical damage. It also increases our fire affinity. So it's going to increase both types of damage we can do. That brings me from 950-ish to 1,137. That's nuts. Combine that with the fire increasing Wondrous Physic, we're up to 1,225 AR on this one big weapon. Now you combine this with another, say Power Stance them, my god, the damage you could be doing. If I can get this Ash of War off on a target, it's so powerful. But to be honest, even if the enemy is mobile, getting the first hit off is good enough in trade. And you've got like the jumping R2s, the basic R1s to do a lot of damage. This is a very, very good fire weapon for PvE and Faith specifically. I strongly recommend it. In PvP, it definitely takes a specific type of play, basically all around using your heavy poise and trading to catch people out. But if you do hit people, my god, is it going to hurt them. So yeah, get trading with this weapon, make people live in fear of this weapon, and you'll do well. To get your own Magma Wyrm Scalesword, then you're going to need to come to the boss arena of the Magma Wyrm, and after you kill it, it drops the sword. It's really that easy. It's also not too hard to get here. You need to make it to the lake region and then make your way north and along the river here. As you're approaching, you're going to find a small little town, little village here. You make your way up there and work your way up a third elevator to the ruin-strewn precipice overlook, and then behind that is a boss fight, the Magma Wyrm itself. After you defeat it, you get the sword. Straightforward. But there you have it. I hope that was useful, educational, or at least very interesting. A nice versatile mix once again. Seriously, there's so many good faith weapons in this game. I was shocked about the sheer amount of them. While, yeah, there's quite a lot of them that are just terrible, there's also a lot that are some of the best weapons you could pick in the game. And their designs, I found, of some of my favorite weapon types out there. If you have any more suggestions, then drop it in the comments. But for now, once again, I've been Hollow, you've been you. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.